Okay. Torah based, the Rebbe starts off the main weapon of Mashiach, and Reb Nosson writes in the Likutey, it refers to every Jew, is tefillah. And tefillah you can't get unless you have Shmiras Habris. Okay, that's where we're up to. Bechinas Yosef. All right, Siv Gimel. Paragraph Gimel.
Am I in the right
Three.
place? Three. Here, right here, right? Three.
ומי שזוכר לחרב הזה, צורך לידך ללחום עם החרב. שלא יתר אויס לימין או לשמאל, וישקלע לסיידה ולא יחטא. Whoever merits to this sword, in other words, he has Shmiras Habris, and therefore he has the sword of prayer, right? So he can be very powerful. It's a very powerful prayer, right? And you have to know how to use the sword. You have to go straight into the body of the other guy. You got to just rip him apart, not deflect to the right or to the left, because then you give the guy a chance to live, right? The same thing with your tefillah. You want your tefillah to be accepted, right? You got to go directly to the point, because if your tefillah goes to the right or to the left, it's not going where it needs to be going. We have to daven now for peace, right? And no Yidden should get hurt, no Yid should get killed. We have to daven for that, right? And if we don't daven right, people get hurt.
But it says we can't daven correctly unless we guard our covenant.
Yeah.
So, I heard rumors that they say like 95% of the people are not guarding their covenant properly. So like, that we have to have a 5% army?
In Sichas Haran, number 141, which talks about the Tikkun HaKoli, right? Rabbi Nachman said then about wasted seed that 3/4 of the world are caught up with it, right?
3/4 of the world away?
Of the world are caught up with that sin, right? Now, you say 95%?
I just made it up.
Yeah, it may be right. It may be, unfortunately, it may be correct in this generation. It's crazy. It's a woke generation. They're all sick. All you have to do is take a look at the people, you see how sick they are.
The Sitrapper is doing his job.
Yeah. So why don't we do ours? That's the question, right?
Is this true? I heard or read that if flies don't bother you, you're holy.
Yes. For that, you need a piece of cake. You got it right. Right? The Gemara says in Brachos that Elisha used to stay by a lady called the Shunamit.
That's what I heard, this story.
And she said to her husband, Hine ish kodosh over aleinu tomid. There's a holy person that passes over us. Right? So Gemara says, how did she know? Because the fly never came to his table. Right? Rabbi Nachman says in Sefer Amidas that you can tell the Sholem Bayis in a house by the amount of flies. You have flies?
I have flies. And I said, Tati, get these guys out of here.
You need screens. Why? There's a posuk, Oivei ish anshe beisoi. The enemies of a person are the people of his household. The Medrash says those are the flies. Right? So they're his enemies. So that means there's no Sholem Bayis. Right? So you got to strive for Sholem Bayis. But yes, it's true that a holy person is not. However, you could challenge that. Reb Nochem of Chernobyl, one of the Baal Shem Tov's leading Talmidim, said about Rabbi Nachman, there's a pasuk at the end of Parshas Yisro. It says, "U'ba'avor tiyeh yiroschem al penechem levilta techado." Hashem brought you here that you should have His fear upon you, not to sin. Right? Reb Nachman of Chernobyl gave testimony that Rabbi Nachman, if he had flies on his forehead or stuff like that, he never brushed them away because he had the fear of Hashem. So Rabbi Nachman was Kodesh, was holy, right? So Rabbi Nachman was holy, and yet he had flies on him, right? What can you do? What can you do? We're in lesson 2, paragraph 3. We just started. So a person has to know how to do battle. For example, we did battle now in Gaza for 2 years, and they lost the war. Gaza's, Hamas is you have to know how to do battle, right? So how can you learn to do battle? The lesson continues. You can only do it if you have a proper sense of judgment. You have to be able to know what's right and what's wrong. Ki mishpat hu amud adem tzeiso. Mishpat is called the middle column. The spheroids are divided into 3 columns, right, left, and center. Center is called the amud adem tzeiso, the middle column, right? That's what mishpat is, right? You could have chesed, and forgive every sinner. You can have gvura, punish every sinner, right? You have to know how to make a balance. You have to know how to balance your life. Everything is balance, right?
Yes.
That's what we were talking about earlier, right? Hainu shekalei im klei zainu yala moker matzorach ve'enu mata liyamin v'lo l'smol ela li'emsa. You know how to go to the right, how to go not to the right, not to the left. You go straight down the middle. V'zeh bechinas yichalkel dvorov v'mishpat. You will feed your words with mishpat. If you have mishpat, justice, judgment, right, then you can feed your words, your tefillah. And that's why Yosef was the one to receive the birthright from Yaakov. Moshe Kosov, I gave you, right? Yaakov gave to Yosef. Ani Daika, Yaakov himself. Why? Why was he able to do that? Shu b'chinas mishpat. Yaakov is called mishpat. V'zeh ki choik li Yisrael hu b'chinas bris. Right? It's a chok for Yisrael. That's Yaakov, which is considered the bris. Moshe Kosov choik b'she'edo isam. Right? The bris is called a choik. Mishpat l'elukei Yaakov. It's the mishpat, is the justice that comes from the Elukei Yaakov. Hainu shetzorach Yosef the shmiras habris, the kabel zois hacherev mebchinas mishpat, to receive the sword from mishpat, kedei sheyichalkel dvora b'mishpat, right? The bris has to receive from mishpat in order to feed the malchus, the tefillah. V'zeh mishpatecho, the melech then. Take the mishpat and give it over to the melech, the malchus, which is tefillah. Shemashiach yekabel mebchinas mishpat. Right? So we said last week, it's the yisoid that feeds malchus, the bris that feeds malchus, and if you look at the array of the spheres, you know that mishpat is on top of yisoid. You have in the back of the book, right? Tiferes in the back of the book.
I forgot I was in this room.
Yeah. You have Malchus, that's Mashiach, the Tefillah. You have Yisod, which is Shmiras HaBris, which is Yosef. And Tiferet is Yaakov, is the Mishpat. So Tiferet feeds Yisod, which feeds Malchus. Okay? Now, Reb Nosson, in Hilchos Nachlos, he has on this, it's the one halacha on this lesson. Reb Nosson talks about the Bechorah, we said, has two parts to it. Why does the Bechorah get two? Because he is the one who inherits the power from Mishpat. So we'll add that the Mishpat and the Yesod get together in order to feed the Tefillah, which is our Nachla, which is our heritage from Hashem. Okay?
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yes.
I have a son, an oldest from a prior marriage, and I have an oldest son from
This marriage,
this marriage. Who gets the two?
the first one. Well, it depends. If they were both a firstborn to their mother, they both have a law of firstborn.
They both have a what?
A law of firstborn.
So, but I have two of them then.
So you have to.
How can I give the most? I have to split it between the two?
You can't split. You have the two, so you split it evenly.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you split it evenly. Right? They're both Bechor.
Yeah.
Zeh Bechor li'imoy, v'zeh Bechor li'imoy. This is a firstborn to the mother, this is a firstborn to okay? As long as they're yours. Right?
I was there for both of them. Thank you. I don't think they...
When my wife was born, my father-in-law was absolutely positive it would be a boy. So the doctor came out and said, it's a girl. He tells the doctor, go back and check. Doctor said, I worked harder on her than you did. It's a girl. Anyway, but it's the firstborn to the mother. Anyway, whatever the case is, Reb Nosson starts explaining the inyanim of what it means not to go to the right or to the left. He said, the right, the firstborn, was Yishmael, right? In your davening, you can't go to where Yishmael goes. The left was Esav. He was really the firstborn on the left side, right? And he did not get the Bechorah either, right? Because you have to be careful how you go. What is Yishmael? What is Esav? Yishmael says it's enough. I davened. Enough. Right? That's the power of Yishmael. Enough. Right? They said enough. And they do whatever they do. They daven. They pray 5 times a day. Right? I was on a flight, Lufthansa flight, and I asked the steward permission to stand in the corner near the exit and daven. I had daven mincha. He asked me if I need a rug. Right? He asked me if I need a rug. I said no. But whatever the case is, I mean, they're all attuned to have Yishmael Yishmakel. Means Hashem heard your tefillah already. You daven. Enough.
In the past.
You daven. Finished. Enough. Enough. You daven. Esav, on the other hand, says, you're never worthy to have your tefillahs accepted. Therefore, why bother? Right? That's Esav. That's Yamin, and that's the small. Nosson says you can't do that. You got to say, Hashem heard my prayer, but I got to daven more. I got to daven more, I got to daven more. That's what Reb Nosson learns out from this. He said, that's why it's a Bechor, it's Pishnayim. It's got double. You got to watch out for what you're asking and what, okay? All right, paragraph 4. So we need Shmiras HaBris for davening. We need Mishpat to know how to use the sword of davening. The bris is called the sword, Cherev Chagor Chabachot. To what can we merit justice? To what can we merit proper judgment? When we do tzedakah, then we can do it. When we give charity, then we are holding by judgment. Moshe Kosov, Tzidkas Hashem also, Umishpotov. Moshe Rabbeinu, he did the charity of Hashem, Umishpotov, and then he did Mishpotov. Because he had charity, he was able to do Mishpotov. Moshe Kosov, Mishpat Ustoko B'Yakov, right? Mishpat Ustoko B'Yakov. That Mishpat and Stoko are with Yaakov. Yaakov is called the Teferet, the center column. But he only really becomes the center column if you're Oisek in Stoko. Ki Stoko Huayde Mishpat. Because Stoko itself is a judgment. It's a judgment call. K'moshe Kosov, Elokim Shofet, Zeh Yashpil, Zeh Yoram. Hashem is a judge. He puts one down, he picks one up. Shemoirish Luzeh, he gives money to this one. He makes poverty in this one. And he makes the other one rich. When a person does tzedakah, he's emulating Hashem. Why? He's mashpil. He's taking himself. He has $100. Now he's got $90. All right. So he makes himself impoverished. And he's also in the category of he raises up because he's making the poor person wealthy. He had nothing, now he has 10.
Why is he emulating Hashem in this man?
Because Hashem is Zeh Yashpil, Zeh Yorim. Okay, so he does that to himself. He brings himself lower and he raises up the poor person. Nimtza, She'ocheh Zayideh Zeh Pechinas Mishpat. When you give tzedakah, it's called mishpat. And therefore it is brought in Shulchan Aruch that a person should set aside money for tzedakah before davening, in order to feed his words with mishpat. Why? Because his mishpat will have tzedakah. So that he'll be able to hit it on the nose and not veer right or left. Tzedakah basically is a judgment call. You get letters in the house asking for tzedakah. You have people coming to the door asking for tzedakah. You have people not coming to the door like me, but they ask for tzedakah, right?
You have all kinds of things you want to do.
Everything. Hospitals, schools, boys' schools, girls' schools, whether it's families, whether it's widows and orphans, whether it's yeshivas. Yeah, there's so many causes out there, right? It's a judgment call, right? So tzedakah is a judgment call. Giving tzedakah is a judgment call, all right? Now you do that, you're learning to adjudicate and to use judgment right. Okay. This is what our sages say. Lomanus and Yaakov is Yosef. Why did Yaakov give the birthright to Yosef? Because he supported him. It's a moshel, a parable of a homeowner that raised an orphan in his house. The continuation of that is, you have it in the English, in the notes, but the continuation is that at time, the orphan became wealthy and he wanted to pay back the homeowner who supported him, right? So Yaakov was the poor person. He was the one who was stuck without food. There was the famine. Yosef fed him, but he wanted to give a present to Yosef. So he gave him the birthright. Okay? That's the moshel. Yosef fed his father and his brothers bread according to the according to the household needs. Hatef is Loshen Hatef, speak to the south. Hashem told Yechezkel, right? Direct your words to those who live in the south. So Hatef is like speaking. So Yosef gave tzedakah to his father, to Mishpat, right? According to the Dibur, he had to feed his words. That his tefillah was said in his mouth because of tzedakah. Because Yaakov did tzedakah, Yaakov, who was considered mishpat, as a b'chorah, he gave him the birthright. Why? Because the birthright was b'chinas tefillah. Ani daika shu b'chinas mishpat, gave to Yosef Shechem. Shechem in lesson 9, Rabbi Nachman explains that tefillah supports the three worlds. There's Olam Shofel, the lower world, this world, Koichov, the planetary, and Malachim, the angelic world. The person who has tefillah can feed these three worlds.
Now, down to my language. How does this manifest itself? For example, how do I use this mishpat? How do I give tzedakah? Okay. What are the thoughts that I need to think if I'm praying for anything? A trip to the States, or parnasa, or learning Torah? How do I do this mishpat? How does this come to? Do you understand my question?
Yes. There are two things I'm going to preface that with. One, the Welt says, when are you allowed to be an atheist? Be an atheist? Right? When somebody comes to you for tzedakah, don't tell them Hashem will help. Don't tell them. You're there, you're the guy on the spot, give to charity. That's one. Second thing is, I forgot it already. Right? The Gemara says in Bava Basra, a person who gives tzedakah on condition that my son shall live, it's considered absolute tzedakah. They had a condition. It's considered tzedakah.
It's considered
real tzedakah.
real tzedakah.
Fine. So now,
Even
where
if
does
that, even if has to come, the boy dies.
whatever happens,
Yeah.
that tzedakah, I did it on condition. The condition wasn't met. That's still considered tzedakah,
Okay.
right? And he's actually saying it before the kid passes away,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now, understand that when you give tzedakah, you give tzedakah. That's your job, to give tzedakah. It's got nothing to do with what's going to happen at the end of the tzedakah. Nothing to do.
So I don't need to
No.
use my thoughts or think certain thoughts or whatnot.
No.
It'll come.
No, you give tzedakah. Right? There was a guy, at the beginning of the Gaza War, guy Bill Ackman, who was a billionaire. He used to give millions of dollars to Harvard. Right? Thrown out money. Thrown out. It's not tzedakah. Right? He said Harvard has that attitude. They allow all the demonstrations and whatnot, so he's not going to give it. He give it to Jewish causes. Okay, Baruch Hashem. Jewish causes, though, are many. There are many, and Hashem should spare us from a lot of them. Right? Tzedakah has to be given to a worthy cause. Worthy cause is a widow. She has no money. It's a worthy cause. A yeshiva, guy is sitting and learning, worthy cause. Burst of research, a very worthy cause. Right? But there are many different causes out there, and they're all battling for your dollar.
They're all what?
They're battling for your dollar. Right? They all want a piece of the action. Right? So, when in 1983, we had just printed Rabbi Nachman's stories. I bought a book. There's a book called the Foundation Book. It has a list of the wealthiest foundations in America. It's this thick. Has a list of where they give and whatnot. So I went through the book and I marked off all the those who give to Jewish causes. There were many. There was one foundation in Wall Street, I forgot the name of it, had $20 million in the account. So I wrote them. I sent them a book, Rabbi Nachman's Stories, and I wrote them. We have different ideas for different projects, right? You can help. I got a pre-printed postcard back, right? I'm sorry, but we're not a large foundation, and we can't give to every worthy cause that comes to us, right? And a lot of these causes gave. There was one Jewish place that gave to study the problem of the tick population among the cows in Texas. $24,000 they gave a grant, right? To study the tick population. Now I understand it. They have cows, they have ticks, they have problems. At the same time, is that a worthy cause or is that, you have to figure out what's going on. A worthy cause is something that will help bring Hashem to the forefront. So every Reform Institute, not worth a dime. Every conservative, not worth a dime. There are a lot of others, the leftists, whatever they have, they're not worth a dime, right? Anyone goes around collecting, they need it. A guy came to my house once, it broke my heart. The guy said, I married a few kids and I have another few kids to marry. Could you help me with something? Right? I said, I gave him something. I said, Ribboni Shalom, is this what your children have to do? Is this what your children have to do, go around begging for money to marry off their kids? Can't you do it a different way? Not because I don't want to give, I gave the guy. But it's a worthy cause, a Yiddish family. That's a worthy cause, okay?
Widows and orphans too.
Huh?
Widows and orphans too, I think.
Widows and orphans are very important. Very important. There's a special pasuk in Mishpatim that speaks about it, right? If they cry out to me, Shemoya Eshma Tzak, I will hear them. Right? So Rashi says there, it's a Gemara, that Hashem listens to everybody and he looks at everyone, even the poor people. Right? But if somebody starts crying out, I'm in trouble, right? Right? And then Hashem listens faster.
This is God.
Faster. Right? That's what Rashi says there. Okay? So now, we have to realize the power that we have. We give some tzedakah, we merit to a power of judgment, which allows us to have shmiras habris, which allows us to point the sword, the tefillah, in the right direction.
If I give my tzedakah in the beginning of the month, my masrot, a little bit extra, and I don't really give the rest of the month, maybe 5 shekels a week, would it be better? I mean, should I disperse more during the month?
It's very good that when your money comes in the beginning of the month, that you give out your money and then it's very good to give out mice then. However, I mean, the Rebbe is saying here, give tzedakah before davening. It's a Sifin Shulchan Aruch, right? And frankly, first of all, let's go differently. The Arizal says that during Vayivarach David, when you say the words V'yato Moshe Bakoil, that's when you should give tzedakah. And I heard once someone say, you can set aside the coins for tzedakah before davening and give it at the words V'yato Moshe Bakoil. But you should set aside the money. If you can set aside a few coins every day,
It's good.
for tzedakah, it's good. A few coins. No one's asking you. Rebitzer Gelbach, Zechayna Levracha, Tzvi's wife's grandfather. He was a Breslov from Poland before the war. He was sent in Siberia. He went and he helped someone make a calendar. The Russians were very powerful. They wanted to destroy all the Jewish holidays. So he went with someone else and they printed a 10-year calendar when the Jewish date is and when the Goyish date is. So people should know when Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Pesach, whatever. He was caught. The Russians said, well, you like 10-year calendars, so they gave him 10 years in Siberia. Right? He was freed after, I think, 4 years. 4 years he spent in Siberia because he was a Polish citizen. And they freed the Polish at the end of the Second World War. So he was free. But anyway, he told me, my mother got sick, she had cancer. He comes to me, he says, Chaim, every day give tzedakah. Every day. I'm not telling you to give a lot of money. Give her a 10 coin, a 10 agorot coin, but give it every day. That's what he told me.
Give it
Every day, right?
consistently.
Small amount, but give it every day, right? That's the power of tzedakah on a daily basis. Okay. What time is it?
18, 11, 18.
Oh, we have time for that.
Yeah.
We started the so you can go there.
V'hikar shel machshava zoros. Now Rabbi Nachman addresses the problem. You get up to daven. Did anyone here ever have a foreign thought during davening?
I think that's my davening, mostly foreign thoughts.
At what?
A foreign thought.
Problem saying.
Foreign.
Foreign thought.
Other stuff besides davening.
Did you
During
ever have
davening?
during davening? Did it ever happen? Well, let me phrase it differently. Like a lawyer in court. Let me rephrase that. Did anyone not have a foreign thought in davening? Right? So the Rebbe addresses that now. When judgment is clouded, then you have foreign thoughts. Why? Ki mishpat u bechinas einin, mishpat, justice, judgment, is considered comparable to the eyes. K'moshe koso vayavayu el ein mishpat, this week's parsha. They came to the eye of the judgment. Ein mishpat. V'zeh bechinas ein Yaakov. Yaakov is also considered mishpat, Tiferes. V'ayidei kilkul mishpat, bo kilkul einin. And if you therefore misconstrue justice, then you're actually damaging your eyes. K'moshe kosev ki hashochet ya'ave eini chachomim, zeh bechinas machshava zorah shebetfilah, she'em anonin mechastan alaynim. That bribery will blind the eyes of wise men. Zeh bechinas, that's the foreign thoughts in davening. The person is wise who davens. The person who has foreign thoughts, it's as if he's blinded. She'em anonin mechastan alaynim. They're like clouds that cover the eyes. K'moshe kosev onan loch me'avot tefillah. Right, and Echa Yirmiyah Novi bemoans that you covered with a cloud that my tefillah should not go. So I have the clouds, I have the foreign thoughts. Uli osich yeshuka mishpat, b'chinas mishpat, but in the future, when justice will be rectified, k'moshe kosev tzion b'mishpat tipodeh, Zion will be redeemed with mishpat, because then it will be straight. Then the clouds that conceal the eyes will be removed. K'moshe kosev, ki ayin b'ayin yiru b'shir Hashem tzion. Eye to eye, we will see that Hashem returns to Zion. Why? Because the mishpat is correct, and therefore we have nothing to cloud our vision. U'b'shvil zeh nikra Yosef ben Poros, a favorite child, alei oyin, he's above the eye. So that we see that if you have mishpat, true mishpat, then you can control your thoughts during davening. So you have to give tzedakah before davening. Bobby, I'm in a shir. I'll call you later.
Okay.
So can you tell me,
You have to concentrate on
corruption of
davening.
mishpat? What have I done that has corrupted my judgment? I look to the right,
Have
to
you
the left.
never made a mistake?
I'm going to lie. I've never made a mistake. I did make a mistake once. I thought
Yeah,
I made a mistake.
1935. Yeah, but I realized afterwards that was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I heard that too.
Yeah.
Okay, but no, we make mistakes.
Concentrate.
So,
Go ahead.
No, you said you have to concentrate and daven.
You have to concentrate on davening. There are going to be difficulties because there are foreign thoughts that come to us. Why? Where did the foreign thoughts come from? Where did they come from?
to drop.
From, yeah, but from where? Why? Well, how does the Sitra have power? Because
Okay.
we have corrupted justice. We have made mistakes, right? So therefore,
It says in your Siddur, it says that for nothing, take one something and say every word slowly and clearly,
right?
at least so you have that.
Lesson 121 in the Likutey Moharan, the second part. Right, he says that there.
I don't know what that does, but
What it does, he says, it teaches you to focus. Yeah. Lesson 121. It teaches you to focus on what you're saying. Right? In America, when I was a kid, I saw a sign. Make sure brain is engaged before putting mouth into gear. Right? How many people just speak off the top of their head, like me?
Too
Right?
many times.
Right? That's what happens, right? Focus is something that's never taught in school, right? It's not taught, not in yeshivas, not in seminaries, not in colleges, nowhere. Focus is the main thing. But there are reasons why it's clouded. We make mistakes. So we have to give tzedakah in order to learn to use our judgment correctly. What is driving? You drive?
I drive. Sometimes I get there and don't remember how I got there.
Okay. But you drive.
I drive.
Driving, all of driving is judgment. All of driving, right? People who are not focused are in accidents, right? Even people who are focused could sometimes, you're driving north and the guy comes southbound and he goes right into you. So, I mean, it can happen even if you're focused. But if you see it happening, you can avert a little bit. Whatever the case is, there are things in life that are completely focused, right? We have to learn to be focused, all right?